Welcome back to the Boot Tragedies. I've been getting a lot of questions about this already. It just, broke yesterday. Well, I say broke, nothing really happened. But the Saints are bringing Hendon Hooker on a visit, the quarterback from Tennessee. He's got a lot of people confused, got a lot of questions going on while they're, still looking at quarterbacks. They just signed Derek Carr. And I'll answer some of those questions, at least in my opinion, or what the Saints are doing. First, let's talk about Derek Carr and his contract situation. Obviously, the Saints signed Derek Carr this summer to a huge contract, 4 years, $150 million, $60 million guaranteed at signing, $100 million in total guarantees, and we can break that contract down a little bit. Before we do that, actually, if you draft a quarterback in the first round, usually in the best case scenario, you want that quarterback to sit for 2 or 3 years, under a good veteran guy, kind of like the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers situation, even though that didn't go well, just sitting under a guy, Hall of Fame caliber type player would be, preferably. Derek Carr's not that, but he's still a pretty solid quarterback to learn from, 32 years old, so maybe the Saints feel like, he'll play 2 or 3 years and then Hendon Hooker could take over the reins, or maybe another quarterback could take over the reins. So they're just looking at any possibility, any type of different scenarios. The Saints are just, going through them. Like I said, they've always had a plan A, plan B, plan C, and they've shown that over these past 2 off seasons. Now, we can look at this Derek Carr contract. Obviously, 2023, he'll be a Saint. That's just not, I don't have to be Albert Einstein to let you figure that out. 2024, he's guaranteed to be a Saint as well. Now, if you look at that 2025 year, that's when it gets a little shaky. It obviously is going to depend on play, but he has a lot of bonuses, roster bonus, signing bonuses. You see in 2025, he has a $10 million fully guarantee if he's on the team by March 2024. It's injury guarantee, so if he's hurt, he'll be on the roster as well. Also, if you look at the bottom, it says the $30 million in 2025 salary is fully guaranteed in March 2025. So that's basically saying, it's not guaranteed. So the first 2 years, he's gonna play through it, but that 2025 year, it just is up to the Saints' discretion. Man, if he's playing great, then obviously you will want that quarterback at that price. If he's playing bad, they can probably get rid of him. Credit to the Saints for always structuring these contracts, in the best case for the team as of late. So they have a potential out. Also, they have a potential out after that 2025 year, which is probably more than likely going to happen. It's probably not going to be more than a 3-year deal. Then it's a 4-year, after that. It's just not going to be Derek Carr and this team with a cap hit of $55 million, and that dead cap is $11.4 million. So this is basically a 3-year deal for Derek Carr, maybe a 2-year deal if he's just playing awful. So that leads you to think, do the Saints actually think we need another quarterback in-house? Obviously, we got Jameis Winston on the roster. We got Taysom Hill on the roster. So bringing another quarterback will be kind of interesting just because you re-sign Jameis Winston, and, he kind of has to be on the roster. He's making whatever he's making, and you could draft a quarterback first round. He kind of has to be on the roster as well. Then you have Taysom Hill back there. So you kind of have 4 quarterbacks on the roster. That would be interesting, especially, on active roster. You only can have 46 players. They have a couple guys like Hendon Hooker and Jameis Winston just out there not doing anything but, a first-round pick and a guy that you paid decent money to be a backup would be an interesting scenario that the Saints will have to work through if they got a quarterback first round. Which kind of leads me to my thoughts on the situation. Should the Saints take Hendon Hooker in the first round? For me, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It just makes no sense to take a quarterback. Not this summer. If they were going to do that, they could have done that last summer. It makes no sense to take a quarterback in this draft in the first round. If Hendon Hooker, if you're going to draft Hendon Hooker, first of all, I think he'll be there in the third, maybe the second. He should not be drafted in the first round. I'm not even saying that because of his talent or anything like that. I haven't even watched Hendon Hooker a lot, a film, just because I don't think we're going to take a quarterback. The guy has all the talent in the world. He was playing really, really good at Tennessee. They destroyed LSU, watched that entire game. So obviously he can play. But just the situation that the Saints are in with Derek Carr, with Jameis Winston as your backup, with Taysom Hill on the roster, it just makes no sense to take a quarterback in the first round, especially if you're in win-now mode. If you're actually in win-now mode, you need to be taking someone in the first round that you think can help you win now. Sorry, Hendon Hooker cannot help you win now. He's not going to come in and beat Derek Carr for the starting job, obviously, because you just paid that guy $100 million plus. So, drafting him, he'll just be a developmental piece, a guy that probably never will touch the field for one snap his rookie season. So, and he's coming off an ACL injury, and that's just too much of a risk for a team that keeps saying that they're in win now mode. They're trying to win. They're doing this. They've made all these offseason moves, restructuring Mike Thomas to get him back on the roster. Obviously going out getting Derek Carr, getting Jamal Williams. Like, They moved up in the draft last year, losing the first round pick, even though they got one back this year. So they've obviously showed they're in win now mode. So drafting a quarterback first round now just makes no sense. Now, if we never signed Derek Carr, then obviously I would be on board with drafting a quarterback first round. Now, I'm not going to overreact because obviously the Saints have shown me the last 2 seasons that they kind of know what they're doing. In this draft and offseason, they've made the right choices basically, 10 times out of 10 in my opinion. And I think they're just doing their homework. They're taking a lot of guys in on visits right now. They're flying a lot of guys out. They're just watching a lot of film. You just want to meet all of these players because you never know. Hendon Hooker can go. Let's just throw a random team out there. He can go to the Colts, right? Hendon Hooker go to the Colts. Doesn't have a great, first 3 seasons with the Colts. They cut him. Then you're now familiar with this player. You've done your homework on him coming out of college. You'll have some NFL game tape, obviously, as well. So it'll be easier to go after that guy if you want him. Or if 2 years he was on a trade market or something like that. And like the 49ers situation, they drafted Trey Lance and Brock Purdy, became a good player. So they wanted to trade Trey Lance. If you did all your, pre-draft things on him, then you'll have some information on the guy about his character and things like that. And then you'll just, be able to make a decision from that. So you're going to get to know a lot of players during this draft situation, man. And you're probably not going to draft them. Obviously, you're not going to draft 99.9% of the guys that you interview. You're going to interview probably hundreds and hundreds of kids, and you only got like 5 or 6 draft picks. That's just how this game goes. So people should stop overreacting. He's coming in on a visit. He's a quarterback. The Saints have the 29th pick, so obviously all things are pointing to one direction. But the Saints just, signed a high value quarterback in free agency. I just don't see that making a whole lot of sense for the Saints right now, especially with the holes we have on defense, on that defensive line position. I think that's a for sure defensive line choice. A lot of people want a receiver, which I get. I've been seeing a lot of receiver talk because everyone wants a shiny new toy. I just don't think we should get a receiver unless we're just probably going to move on from Michael Thomas next year. Then I can see it. Then I can understand why we could draft a receiver right there. But my final thoughts on this, man, the Saints, if they draft Hendon Hooker first round, I'm going to give that an F off the bat. I'm going to just let y'all know right now. If the draft comes on and the Saints are on the clock and the Saints draft Hendon Hooker, I'm going to get at a big fat F. And it's not because of the players, it's just because the position we drafted, I feel like we didn't need it. I remember that when Peyton Turner got drafted, I gave the Saints an F for that as well. And I got killed in the comments. I had to delete the video because of copyright and things like that. And boy, those people in the comments are lucky because I would definitely come troll y'all now looking at Peyton Turner right now. But I just said with Peyton Turner, we just had drafted Davenport. We had Cam Jordan. Why are we drafting another defensive end? Like, why? And the Saints obviously did it. It obviously hasn't worked out. Davenport's gone. Peyton Turner, he hasn't done anything since his first game in his NFL career. So if we draft a quarterback, I will kind of put that in the same boat. Like, while we drafting a quarterback, you got a pretty good backup. You got a guy that you just paid $150 million to. Like, it would just make no sense. So it would never be an F because of the player. It's an F just because of the position, and we didn't need it. It was the same thing with Alontae Taylor last year, in my opinion, which I ended up being wrong on, which I'm okay with that. I didn't think Alontae Taylor was the greatest pick in the second round, not because of the player. I think that video's still up. It has nothing to do with the player, but we had Paulson Adebo, we had Roby, we had Lattimore. So obviously I thought we were going to be good at the cornerback position, but Alontae Taylor came in and played like a stud, and it is what it is. So it's like I said, it's all a guess. Nobody's going to be right. If everybody was right, then no GM and no scouting department will ever get fired because everybody will hit on their picks. It's all a guess. It's just an educated guess, obviously, but man, who knows? But as far as Hendon Hooker goes, man, I think he's a good player. I just don't think we need him. It's simple as that, man. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below about Hendon Hooker possibly coming to the Saints. As always, just the Boo Tragedies, and I'm out.
Let's make it the greatest